So in today's podcast, I have on two individuals. This is my first ever group podcast. I'm pretty excited to try this out. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. It's something a little bit different. Having on Chase Milholen and JAXON Sullivan. These are a partner, a tournament duo, a high school tournament duo from Tennessee. And they fish all the Tennessee River Lakes, Wilson, Pickwick, Kentucky, pretty much any lakes down in the Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama area. You can tell I'm not very knowledgeable of that geographic location. But these guys pretty much go into it. They're going to tell you all about it. I'm pretty excited to have them on. It's one of the best high school duos in the country. These kids are no joke. They're business. I met them down in the Classic. For kids that are still in high school, you would not know it talking to them. They carry themselves very maturely for their age, which is pretty enlightening to see some of the people in the generation coming up. I was excited to get these guys on. It was an amazing time talking to them down at the Classic. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hope you guys are too. Enjoy.
All right, we are recording. Chase Milhole and Jack Sullivan. What's going on, boys?
Nothing much, man.
Say hello to all the listeners and viewers. You guys are the youngest ones that I've ever interviewed besides Jack North.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, I met these guys down at the Classic, and they got themselves in some Douglas trouble, some Douglas business. I was talking to him for a long time, and I knew I had to get him on the podcast. So I'm glad to have you guys on here. But before we start this thing, how I run the podcast, I guess we'll start with Chase. If you want to tell everybody listening a little bit about yourself, and then how you got into fishing, who got started for you.
Right. My name's Chase Milholen. I live in a small town, Lexington, Tennessee, but it's a small town, but it has more lakes, like small little private lakes, than most counties you'll ever know of. We have like 7 lakes in the county that we live in, with a population of only about 20,000 people in the whole county. So I mean, it's a real good county to grow up in and fish. And I live 15 minutes from Kentucky Lake and about 35 to 40 minutes from Pickwick. So I mean, it's right here on a really good place to grow up, especially if you're an avid outdoorsman. I mean, there's good hunting and good fishing. But I've been tournament fishing for about, I'm gonna say, 5 years now, because whenever I was going into high school, and I met Jackson at a weigh-in at Lexington. It actually was last weekend at the Classic. Is when the tournament was. We didn't go to it because we'd rather come to the Classic. So it was the Coca-Cola Classic on Beach Lake in our hometown. And I met him, and they had a sack. They had some big fish. They ended up having like 26 something pounds and won that tournament. So I was like, I got to be a part of that. And so after that, I was hooked. We fished our first tournament a year ago. I think it was yesterday, and we had like 22 or 23 pounds my first tournament, and it hooked me from there. And I've been hooked since. I go every chance I get.
Nice. I like it. Jackson, what about you? How'd your passion start? Who got you into it? Tell a little about yourself.
Well, whenever I was 2 years old, my granddad took me out to the pond, and he had seen about a 5 pounder sitting on the bed, and he flipped a Texas rig in there and set the hook, and he handed me the rod. He let me reel it in, so that kind of started. That put a little spark down into it. I was like, this. I mean, I was 2, so yeah, it was fun. Uh, I went, started fishing. I wanted to get into it. Whenever I was 5, I started learning how to throw a bait caster. When I turned 6, I fished my first tournament. Um, Whenever I turned 9, I won my first tournament with 23 pounds.
Sheesh.
Uh, Me and him, we fished together for a long time. And then my freshman year, I met Chase at the weigh-in that we had 26 pounds. We ended up winning the Coke Class. I think it was the 36th annual Coke Classic. And we followed it up the next year. We had 19, got third. The next weekend after that Coke Classic, we had 26 pounds. Me and Chase, we decided we was going to start fishing together. So the next tournament come up, me and him started, we partnered up, we fished. we had been on a pretty good school of fish, and we caught almost 23. And that's kind of where I come from. It's kind of how I took off.
Sweet. And we got Jackson, the little demon over here driving while he's Skyping. Crazy boy over here. Yeah, that's awesome. So for people that don't know, you guys are partners then for your high school fishing team.
Right. We've been partners since it was about the summer going into our freshman year, and we fished about every tournament since that. I mean, especially starting up. I mean, of course, it's starting up fishing season big time. So whenever it starts up big time, we're together like every weekend. So, man, we grow that real close bond. And, I mean, we honestly now we've gotten to the level we fish year round. We never really miss a month that we don't have actually a tournament in. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I'll tell for everybody listening or watching in, like, these two came up to our booth looking at the rods and walked up. I'm like, how you guys doing, whatnot? And Mike and I were talking to you guys. And when we got to actually start talking to you guys, we're like, and you learned you're in high school, we're like, kids don't talk like they're in high school. They talk like they've been in the business for, 25 plus years. Like, you guys know what you're doing. You carry yourselves right, and you don't see that much, which is why you guys left an imprint on us at Douglas. So, see these boys rocking the Douglas hats right now. That's
Yes, sir.
pretty sweet. Yeah, I love that. Did you guys catch anything today?
I did. I had about 22 pounds on Pickwick today. I had a 7, a 5, a couple of 2 and 3, or I had a 2 3s, couple 2s. Put that Douglas to work this morning flipping.
Hey, all right. Chase, what about you, man?
Man, we had a tournament coming up. Me and Jackson had a trail tournament for a point system coming up this Saturday. But since the coronavirus and all this has exploded, they actually canceled it because we're under a state of emergency.
Oh,
So,
yeah, right. Yeah, they did cancel
so
that.
and my captain out of Middle Tennessee, he called me yesterday and gave me the information on the cancellation. He was like, hey, man, you want to go fish Kentucky Lake tomorrow? And we'll fish a tournament out of Perryville. That's Kentucky Lake, a little marina we have, Saturday. And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. So we went down there today, and it was really tough because we just got right back down to where it was actually normal for our water to be.
Mhm.
We just had a major flood, so it was really tough around Kentucky Lake. We ended up catching about a 3.5 to 4, and I had a really good spot on it. I had one on first few casts this morning, but that's about all we could speak of. So it was really tough today on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, it's the guy I'm going out with tomorrow. One of my buddies who I grew up, I fished my first tournament with. He's fishing collegiate right now, and he just mentioned that obviously the tournament got canceled, so we're going out tomorrow on the lake, and it's my first time in open water for New York. We're all celebrating up here because water finally hit 40 degrees, so it's a party in the Northeast right now.
Right.
It's not like you guys, you got mid high 50s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So before we kind of go further, we didn't get to talk much, obviously, beyond text after the Classic. What was your take on the last day for Sunday?
It was interesting. I figured it would be hard for them to catch Hank. I was kind of hoping Todd would pull it off. Todd or Brandon Lester, he's from Tennessee, so I was kind of hoping one of them two would pull it off. But Hank fished clean all week. He done really good keeping the fish on, adjusting with the conditions, and I think it was worth him winning. It really showed. It showed his skill set as far as adjusting with the temperature, adjusting with the wind they had from the first day to the last. There was a lot of big factors played into that. And
yeah.
I think he done a really good job at adjusting.
Chase, what's your take?
Man, all in all, I think it was a pretty cool Classic. It was pretty well different from last year's Classic because, on the first day last year, the first day of the Classic, the waist wasn't very high and everything. But this year, Hank Cherry came out and busted like a 29-pound bag, and I was like, gosh. It was awesome. And people had over 20 and right at 20 and stuff. It was awesome. And Hank Cherry, he stayed on it pretty consistent. He had it won from about day one, and he had such a big lead over everybody. And like Jackson said, he fished clean all week. Didn't he pulled his fish in that needed to be in. I mean, he fished clean. So I think he had it won from the beginning, and his fish cooperated with him, and it was all
Yeah.
in all.
I don't think I've ever seen a classic one on a jerkbait, especially in the South.
Yeah.
That was weird. I think
Yeah.
it was a testament to his skill level when I've been hearing about this causeway is that it gets pounded on the daily, and he can still go there and catch the caliber and the amount of fish that he did. I think that was pretty impressive.
On the Tennessee River chain right now, mostly a jerk bait is they're really much on a jerk bait right now on the Tennessee River chain. And on Tennessee River chain, say they replenish, however you say that word, they they keep on, and since the river channel and the current, I mean they'll keep on replenishing and stuff. And the jerk bait, I mean it's really good right now.
Nice.
Tennessee River
Like
chain.
there's been the rave over the that red, like I don't even know the color pattern, but the jackhammer that everyone's buying for like $200 now. Not that they weren't expensive in the first place, but
Oh,
you
see,
got yourself some red chatterbaits.
my captain went yesterday to look for some. I was going to go this evening, but we're going to end up not fishing that tournament because we didn't get on them. But he went yesterday to look for some, and he said they're sold out of red chatterbaits, red spinnerbaits, red everything. So, I mean, that was kind of out of the question today for us. I don't really just keep red stuff in my boat besides rattle trap. So,
Yeah.
crankbait.
I bet companies kind of wish that the expo was another day so they could have sold out anything red.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let me ask you guys this: who runs the boat when you guys are out fishing?
It really depends. Most of the time, if we're slow, we're fishing jigs or something slow, Chase will run the boat. If we're cranking, power fishing, most of the time I'm running the boat. And if we're below the dam fishing, we kind of take turn depending on who catches the fish first. If I catch one first and I'm running the trolling motor, he'll hop up there, take over. And if he catches one, we'll swap. We work in unison. We work like a well-oiled machine. We work together well. We make sure that we're covering everything from beginning to end. Fish every little nook and cranny, every rock, crack, crevice. We cover an area real well. So
Yeah.
We kind of both have our styles of fishing, and I think that's what makes us a good team is we fish differently. I'm more of a power fisherman, so I like going fast. I like cranking, throwing a swim bait, throwing a jerk bait, stuff that's moving. Chase is more on the bottom, slower, making a finesse approach, a lot more subtle approach, and I think it works well whenever, depending on what the fish are doing and depending on the conditions, how he runs the boat or how I run the boat.
Yeah. Hey, Chase, you like to hand out the concussions, but Jackson's all about the speed, huh?
That's it. Since the beginning, I mean, he's always been in high speed everywhere we go. If you give him a chance, he'll put that trolling motor on 10 and just go. I mean, you got to tell him, like, Jack, have to slow down just a little bit. I mean, we got to a little bit slower. He's always in high speed. I mean, he loves that power fishing.
Yeah, but that's good though. It can be good depending on certain tournaments to have partners who fish the same, but it's good to have two different skill sets. That way you're covering all the bases, and you just have somebody in that strength who can find a pattern. That makes
Right.
practicing a lot easier. I mean, that's like one thing we had talked about. When we were at the classic at the expo is how there's that strategy with swim baits because we got to talk about swim baits and how you guys don't throw them much in the South, but how they can be good in practice because that's how you can find big fish and
Right.
big fish sort of thing.
Right.
It's cool kind of how that works. So, like when you guys go to practice for an area and you're bouncing back ideas, how do you guys work your strategy? How does that usually go when it comes to making the decisions?
As far as making decisions goes, we come up with an idea. I'll be thinking on something, or he'll be thinking on something, and just say we're fishing a riprap bank, and it's 12 foot of water in the spring throwing a red crankbait. So it's not working. He may say, all right, let's move in, let's move out, or we may be fishing a ledge out on Pickwick. And, it's summertime, it's hot, the fish quit biting in practice. So we try to duplicate what we're catching fish doing. And if we're not catching fish, scrap the whole idea and try something completely different. But it's hard fishing. It's hard fishing somewhere that you fishing year after year. Yeah, you know the good spots. Yeah, you know where the fish normally hold. But like a guy told me today, I was on the water talking to him. He said, you can't tell me a year from today I can go catch a fish on a jerkbait in this pocket, this pocket, this pocket, and I can go flip right here in this hole in this grass and catch a fish. So as far as our strategy goes, we can't really fish history. We have to fish patterns. We have to find a pattern and duplicate it as much as possible to come up with a strategy for game day, for fishing our tournament.
Yeah. Nice. Chase, any input on that?
Yeah, see, I was thinking while he was talking, we was in a tournament. It was, I think, 2 years ago, and it was on Kentucky Lake. And, man, it was tough. We had a tough pre-fish, and it was tough. And we got to we had weigh in at 2 o'clock, and we got to about 12:30. I told Jackson, I said, I think they're going to be suspended behind current somewhere. And so we pulled up and went to this close bluff that we found, and I picked up a chatterbait. And I don't know why I picked up a chatterbait, but I picked up a chatterbait. And second cast, I hooked up with one and caught a keeper. And that was the first keeper we had all day. So I told Jackson, I said, hey, pick up one of these chatterbaits and let's see if we can catch him real quick. So then, 2 casts later, he catches one. And so we catch 3 fish about, I'm going to say 3 minutes. So, we put together in that tournament, and I was thinking about him being suspended, and he was thinking about him being behind current because the current was really, really rolling that day. So, we always put our heads together pretty good, try to strategize. We're always thinking of something new to do while we're on the water, something not working. We already got something in mind to go and try. We work pretty good together on that.
Nice. So when it comes to your high school tournaments, is there any tournament that kind of really stands out? You guys may have won it or fished the best, or maybe just had some moments there that you guys kind of put above the rest?
In the spring, our regional championship, most of the time it's on Kentucky Lake. That's a really fun tournament. The past 2 times that we fished it, we've had over 15 pounds in smallmouth, and that's almost unheard of coming from Kentucky Lake.
That's awesome.
It's our first year we had 16 something, almost 17 pounds, and we got beat by 2 ounces. And then the next, our next regional championship we had 1581, I think, and we got beat by a couple ounces there. So
by the same people 2 years in a row.
Same people 2 years in a row.
Sheesh. What about you, Chase? Any tournaments or moments that stand out?
I was honestly thinking about the regional championship as he was talking, before he started talking, because that regional championship, there's nothing like going and catching, a sack of smallmouth. There's just nothing like it. You can go catch largemouth and spotted bass. There's nothing like having a bag of brown fish. So that tournament really stands out to me.
You're preaching to the choir, man. This is the Northeast, the land of the smallmouth. Put one out for tomorrow.
I want to come
better than a fat sack of brown ones, man.
Oh,
I know today on Pickwick, I had one. I lost one about 4, and I put one in the boat that was about 3.5. And seeing when that first time it come up and jumped, there's just something different. It hits different when you see a big smallmouth come up and jump. Got your jerkbait hanging out of his mouth.
Oh yeah. Do they jump 3-4 foot out of the water like they do in the north?
Yes, they do. I had one a couple years ago. We was fishing the grass.
I was about to tell you about that story.
Yeah, I was fishing a grass flat with a spook, and I had one, about a 5-pound smallmouth come up and blow up on my spook. So I set the hook, and I'm reeling him in, and nobody believes me about this, but he jumped over the trolling motor, like over the top of the trolling motor, with my spook hanging out of his mouth. And he does it, and he jumps over again, and then he comes off. So he jumped over the boat twice and still didn't make it in. And nobody believes me about this.
See, that's why you guys got to get a GoPro, strap it to the dash. So that way you have any story you got backup. You know what I mean?
That's it.
There you go. Yeah, I've heard stories of guys that they pull up to. There's a weekly tournament on Erie. Erie always has tournaments during season, and guys will pull up into the harbors. They go weigh their fish, and they open up the box, and then a 4-pounder shoots out of the live well into the lake. Does not touch the boat at all. It just goes clear into the lake. That's why you see guys, if you go to a tournament up in North, on Erie or Ontario, and the guys that know what they're doing, you'll see them with their bags open. When you open the lid, they'll be facing the lid with their bag open. So when they jump right into the bag.
Right.
They're nuts, man. They're little fish on cocaine. It's what they are. It's funny, but looking forward to 2020. Looking at tournaments for you guys. What's on the radar if it's not canceled by this coronavirus?
Yeah. We actually, a lot of tournaments that I've been looking forward to. We fished 2 of them that I've really been looking forward to. One of them was Toledo Bend. I was really looking forward to Toledo Bend, and we went down there and we got a top, I think, 15 finish, and we qualified for nationals down there, and that was a really fun lake. It reminded me a lot of Pickwick Lake because on the graph it's set up a lot like Pickwick Lake, and it was a lot of ledges and stuff. But instead of Pickwick Lake, wide open water, you're setting in trees. And that was different. We got hung up on trees like over 100 times, and you had to get the big motor and get it off out in 30 foot of water. It was crazy. And
you have a boat path, and the boat path is like 30 or 40 feet wide. You look out across a flat, and it's trees, like not just a couple trees sticking up. There's like thousands of trees all the way across. And whenever you're idling across, like you're idling to a spot because you don't want to tear a lower unit off. So you'll be idling, and all of a sudden your boat will just hop up on one. You'll go sideways for a minute, and you'll have to gun the motor, and it'll just slide right off. You'll plop back down, and you'll keep on going.
See, we don't have any of that here in New York whatsoever. So it's like for us New Yorkers or Northeastern who never have submerged timber, we would probably flip every single tree in that cove, even though there's probably nothing on them. There's no pattern to that because we were just like, oh look, submerged timber, they got to be there. I'll flip a jig, And like that was my first time on my way down in Tennessee is dealing with submerged timber. I stopped at Percy Priest Reservoir. I think I told you guys about that. It was my first cast of the Mega Bass. I think I told you guys the story at the Classic. I was throwing a Vision 110, first cast with it. I feel I get snagged on something, but I thought it was a bite because I hadn't fished in a while. So I set the hook and it just doesn't move. And I look up a little bit with my coach and I'm like, it's trees. I had never experienced submerged timber before. Yeah. Next cast the jackhammer, snag. Lost $50 in 2 casts. That was great. I don't know how you guys do that down there.
Oh, it's definitely something I'm used to.
Yeah, it's different for sure. I've never been anywhere like that. Toledo was definitely an experience. Now, Priest does have some standing timber like that. I've never fished it. I've never fished anywhere that was like Toledo. Like it was solid trees everywhere.
Imagine going down your back road with a 2-lane road and it's flooded everywhere around you, and your 2-lane road is your run path, your boat path.
Yeah, you look like that's the perfect definition of Toledo Bend.
They pretty much took your forest and just submerged it.
Yes.
That's what they done. They flooded cities, graveyards, schools. You can be scanning, you'll see graveyards, you'll see tombstones, and you're driving down the old roads that drive zone.
That's
Like,
incredible.
It's because I mean, like he said, it's a road. Like you're driving in a road, and then on both sides of the road, there's flooded timber everywhere.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize Toledo had that. See, when I picture Toledo, I picture Kevin Van Dam offshore throwing a 10XD. You know, that's what I picture when I see Toledo, not submerged timber everywhere. That's what I picture like Lake Fork, you know? I don't know. I mean, my depiction of the South is entirely wrong.
Well,
That's good stuff.
whenever you and Mike come down and fish with us on Pickwick, you'll get a real good view of the South fishing real quick.
Oh, I hope so.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, heck yeah, man. So, also looking forward, you know, past 2020, when you guys head off to college, you know, what's the plans?
I'm hoping we get to fish our freshman year a little bit. You know, kind of get a feel for the college fishing. I know a lot of people say people that go to Bethel don't fish their freshman year, but I've got some buddies that
I think we're losing them.
Yeah, I think we are too.
Running through a dead zone. You're a really bad rapper, Jackson.
And they fished a lot more than they thought they would. So, we fished them our freshman year. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You went through a dead zone for a little bit, so you were all scattered.
Okay. But anyway.
Yeah, just restart the story. The entire story.
Yeah, that's a lot. But anyway, you know, I know some guys that are up at Bethel. They're fishing. You know, a lot of people say Bethel doesn't fish freshmen, but I've got buddies up there that they fish a lot more than they thought they would their freshman year. So I'm hoping we get to fish some whenever we get up there, kind of experience college fishing, see how it goes.
That's good, yeah. Is it kind of weird to think, you know, when you go into college bass fishing, you could be, you know, either becoming or fishing against, you know, the next Jordan Lees and the guys that are literally going to be on, you know, the faces of the field.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, high school fishing is competitive and all, but I mean, they say that college fishing is just a whole other level. I mean, I'm looking forward to the competition. That's what I love. I love some good competition. I mean, it makes you better because it makes you want to fish harder and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
100%.
It's been a long dream and stuff to be able to go to Bethel, fish. That's what I've always wanted to do, fishing and stuff. Kind of like a dream come true for me. Over and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Jackson, I gotta say, because it's been popped in my head since you came on the camera. I've had Josh Bertrand down here, dude. You look like a Josh Bertrand minus 15 years. I'm gonna have to tell him he's got to watch this one on YouTube.
Oh,
We'll see what I mean.
I need to grow a beard. And I will be the miniature Josh Bertrand.
Get you the Josh Bertrand chin strap, and then you have a perfect.
Yeah.
You'll be as mini me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to talk to him a little bit at the Berkeley booth?
We didn't. I didn't see him while we were there. We, you know, most of the time we bounced between the Douglas booth and Mercury. We stopped and talked to one of our buddies at Mercury for a while, and then we went down to the Berkeley booth and watched some guys on the tank. But I never did see Josh down there.
Okay.
I saw him a few times, but he was usually, whenever I saw him, he was wrapped up pretty well with, fans and stuff. So I never really got.
Yeah, most of my talking to him was just being like, "Hey man, like good to see you," and then that is like, then more people come up, do a picture, you know, sign this, yeah, good stuff. But yeah, no, you look like, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, now I look. That's kind of weird when I see people. I'm like, oh, they kind of look like this. It's like a bad habit of mine. It's weird. You kind of look like a young, you know, Greg Hackney, Chase. A beardless Greg Hackney.
Yeah.
It's funny. I could do this all day. I mean, there was one where I had Tyler. His name's Tyler Stewart. Sorry, not Tyler Stewart. Tyler Sweet. I had him on. He was one of the first podcasts, and I kid you not, there's a picture of him But he's got long blonde hair with a beard, a small beard in there. Looks exactly like Seth Fighter. And he has a mustache too and everything. And I put it in a side by side of the Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
Seth enjoyed it when I sent that. Did you guys make the? Speaking of that, did you guys make it to the mega back? The Seth Fighter looked like in the cash register?
No, I don't think we did.
No, it didn't.
I thought it was Seth Fighter running the cash register when I came up to it.
Really?
I was like, shouldn't you be fishing? Like I don't know. It was pretty funny. But
Did you know that last day of the Bassmaster Classic that a lot of the guys that didn't have very big weights, like the second day or the first day, really caught him the third day? Like Spider, he really
he did. Yeah.
and there was a few more that caught him that hadn't been catching as big of bags the first or second day that really caught him the third day.
Yeah.
Like
Was it Lee Livesey, right? He caught a 21 bag.
Lee Livesey caught a 21-8, I think. He jumped all the way up to 8. I think he finished up in 8.
Yeah.
Gray Buck, I don't know exactly where he finished up, but I know he had a pretty good bag for the third day, and he barely made the cut. So
yeah, he had a 7 and a 6, I think, on the last day.
Yeah, he had some good ones.
Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting was Lester didn't have a very big bag on day 3, and I didn't watch much of the live, and it makes me kind of wonder because he had a consistent day 1, day 2. Is maybe he tried to change up his game plan and shoot for the moon, which was why he didn't have as big of a bag because I think he knew if he did as consistent, as he did as day 1, day 2, he wasn't obviously going to win. So I think maybe he shot for the win, and then that's what caused him to drop down.
Right. I haven't watched Bass Live either. But it sounds pretty accurate on how how that would be because jumping one place from 5th to 4th. That's big money. That's big money. So that wouldn't surprise me. That's what he's doing because any place being able to jump up any place in the tournament. That's big money change.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like he had quite the fan club there too, being a Tennessee boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, being from the Tennessee area and the South, you guys get the opportunity to fish some of the greatest lakes that you know as for bass. What was your favorite lake? What's your guys' favorite lakes? Your go-to favorite one for the rest of your life.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Back in the Southern Open about 2 years ago, I think we got the opportunity to fish Lay Lake in Alabama, and I'm gonna tell you that was a really, it was a really tough practice until we actually figured it out. And after that, man, it was big spot after big spot after big spot. We ended up having like 15 spots, so it was awesome. And it wasn't just get a bite every 30 minutes. It was get a bite every 2 or 3 casts. You could almost call your shot. It was awesome. So I'd have to say Lay Lake is one of my favorites. I really love to go back there.
Jackson, what about you, man?
Well, if you give me about 30 seconds, I'll show you which one mine was. I've got a 7 and a 5 in the box on the way home right now. You give me about 30 seconds to get pulled in my driveway and get back to the live well. And,
what do you do?
I'll show you what Pickwick's about.
What are you doing with them?
Yeah, what do you do with your fish?
I'm gonna stock the pond with them because our pond's kind of getting a little low on the big ones. So I'm trying to get some back in here. We've got a bunch of little ones, but we don't really have any big ones left. So let me hop out.
So that's why the weights are falling because Jackson's catching them all and taking them home.
Yeah,
no, hey, I don't keep any.
About 40 bags and 5 fish and it's fine.
Jackson's got world record bags in his pond. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just teach us more. It's fine.
Oh my god.
Them big girls. That's what Pickwick's about right there.
Those big old bellies. I love it.
They're pretty, boy.
I assume you guys don't have very strict rules when it comes to taking fish around down in Tennessee.
Apparently not.
We would get in a lot of trouble up here in the Northeast for that stuff.
Really?
Oh, we get yeah. people do it all over the place, and like DEC gets involved, like the games.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyone listening or watching this, it is allowed in Tennessee. Please don't say anything.
we'll get
Sorry,
these big,
it's too late now. Yeah.
we'll get these big girls back in the water.
Sorry, if anybody asks, that's Pickwick Lake.
Yeah, that's Pickwick. If anybody asks, yeah. Can't wait for my big girl swim off. Get out of here.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Bailey, what's your favorite lake?
She
she
doesn't
went the
want.
wrong way. She was like, I don't want to leave you.
She just loves you, Jackson.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Hear me?
I can hear you, buddy.
What's your favorite lake to fish?
Oh dang. Me, oh dude, it's so tough. If I had to pick one, I'd have to pick Cayuga. But give me this season, and it's probably gonna sway to Lake Erie.
Like
Because
here,
Lake Erie, there's a hidden spot where you can find some big old largemouth. And one of my buddies knows, I mean, you can come back with 25 pounds of largemouth from Lake Erie. So my buddy's going to take me and show me this little honey hole, given I don't tell anybody. I can't bring my GoPro, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But it's I think it's going to turn to Lake Erie because the classic smallmouth, but Cayuga Lake just because you can put up a dirty 30 in New York of largemouth. And also you still can go down south and catch 5-pound smallmouth at the same time. So I'll probably go Cayuga. So if you guys ever make it up to northeast Cayuga, you gotta stop there. 100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about St. Lawrence River? I mean, is it pretty fun? Have you ever got the chance to fish it?
So because I'm a broke kid, and so I have to fish out of a kayak majority of the time, I haven't gotten up to St. Lawrence. I used to go as a little kid. But that was in my family's bayliner, and they were all fishing for pike, and I was too young and dumb to even know anything. So,
Big pike in your life?
yeah, we've caught some big old northerns. Yeah, it's to the point where I don't like catching them anymore. If I'm gonna catch anything with teeth, I just want to catch a muskie, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. Beyond that, no, I haven't gotten a chance to fish St. Lawrence. I'm changing that this summer though. I'm going up with a buddy, and we're gonna fish the river. I mean 25-pound bags up there is pretty normal. So
That's what they say. Like,
yeah.
I was talking to who was that? It was one of the pros. I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, he said, "What's your best day on Kentucky Lake with smallmouth?" I said, my best day would be around 23, something like that. He said, "Really?" He said, "That's a normal to average day on the St. Lawrence River." I
Yeah.
was like, "Gosh, you kidding me?"
100%, man. They're the class of smallmouth because with the river, the current is it's ripping so fast, and it's the way that it moves within all these pockets and from because it comes from the ocean, so it stays cold. I mean, if you ever see St. Lawrence, it's 80 degrees, like that's a shock, like it's
Right.
right. So you'll stay around the low 70s to mid 70s, so you can have fish depending on depth of water. Be pre-spawn up until July, from what I've been told. I mean, don't quote me on it, but there'll be spawners until late July, even August sometimes.
Wow.
Because it's just the water stays a lot colder. It keeps them fired up. So
Right.
yep.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, we have some really cool fisheries up here, which is cool. I mean, it's funny because you see everybody in the south talk all about the north, and then you hear people from the north talk all about the south, and then it's like you got to spend 6 months north, 6 months south. You know what I mean? Cool. So for everybody listening, everybody watching, where can they find you guys if they want to keep up with your tournament success?
You can find me on Instagram at JAXON SULLIVAN Fishing, no G at the end. I'll be posting about every week, keeping everybody updated. As soon as I get off here, I'm fixing to make a post about today on Pickwick. You can also follow the school page at Scottsdale Student Anglers.
Okay.
It's actually Scottsdale SA, and then whenever you get on the actual page, you'll see it's the official page of the Scottsdale Student Anglers. I run the page, so I'll be making posts about everybody, how they're all doing.
Sweet.
And, I'll keep everybody updated as far as the whole team goes, too, on that one.
Cool. Chase?
I post mostly on Facebook because, I got hacked or something on Instagram a while back, and I'm just creating my new Instagram. So you can find me on Facebook at my name, Chase Milholen, and I post pretty frequently on there. And my Instagram is just Chase Milholen, no spaces. So it's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. So
Nice. Now, keeping it simple. I like it.
that's it.
So I'll link all those your guys' channels down below so people can keep up with you and whatnot. But we're gonna transition into our last segment where we wrap up here. It's we'll have a little fun. But I don't know if you guys have ever listened to the podcast before, but I have some questions that I like to ask that stumps you a little bit. So this is gonna be interesting. So you guys ready for the first question?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll start. Who wants to go first?
Doesn't matter.
I can go first.
All right, Chase. So here's the question. It's going to be the same question for Jackson once Chase is done. If you could invite any 3 people, whether it doesn't have to be fishing industry or not, past or present, to dinner to pick their brain, who would you invite and why?
To get all the information I can is what you're saying?
Yeah, so for me, I want to invite The Rock to dinner because I want to learn about something about him.
I would invite my favorite angler of all time right now. Is of course Adifo. He's a Tennessee guy, so Adifo or Jacob Wheeler. I would really like to sit down with Donald Trump.
Okay.
That's just. I'd like to do that. I'd like to.
I heard rumor he's got the corona.
I seen that on the news while ago. There, he said he's thinking about taking a test for it.
Oh boy.
Yes, I'd like to sit down with him. I'd really. And let me think. Man. Oh man, I would have to say. Oh.
Tough. Childhood hero, anything like that?
Yeah, I got. My favorite singer, Luke Combs.
Luke Combs, I like that. I'm a big Luke Combs fan. I like that.
Luke Combs. I'd like to sit down.
Okay, Jackson, you're up. You got the time to think about it, so you better be good.
No, I had a 7 and a 5.
Jackson.
Yeah. Sorry, I was answering a question, but anyway, my first one would probably be Donald Trump. Because he's the greatest president of all times. Number 2, I'd probably try to sit down with Brandon Polnick for a minute. See what he's up to. It was pretty cool getting to meet him at the Classic and stuff. But take him out to dinner. Just to talk to him, just to have him around. He seems like a real energetic person.
Yeah.
My third one. To be honest, I really don't know.
Jackson, stay still for a minute.
I'm trying. Okay.
See, this is what we mean. That you're all over the place. You're fast. You got to be moving all the time.
I do.
Where Chase over here has been stationary the entire time.
I can't do that. See, I had to do it while I was driving. That way I wouldn't be walking around like this.
That's funny.
My third one would probably be, I don't know.
Childhood hero, father figure, I don't know, mother figure, anything.
Probably.
What Chase did.
I'd probably sit down with Jacob Wheeler too, just to talk, fishing and stuff.
I don't think there's anybody more consistent in history than Jacob Wheeler has in the past few years.
He's such a hammer.
It's ridiculous.
Everywhere we
Yeah.
go.
I think the epitome of how consistent he wants to be is him not taking on an electronics sponsor and using all 3 on his front deck. All 3 brands.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that post?
I haven't.
He's got a Garmin, a Lowrance, and a Humminbird on his front deck because he utilizes each 3's
what they're best at, like the 360 mega imaging, the Panoptics, and then all three. So it's go look at his social media right there.
Right.
It's
What are you
pretty.
doing, Action?
Do what?
What are you doing?
I'm waiting to unhook the boat.
Okay.
I got it backed into the shop. Y'all don't know how hard it was backing into the shop while on Skype doing a podcast. That was challenging because I mean I got to go out over the road and then back up and then go over the road and back up and line up with the shop and then back it in. So that was a challenge.
All right. Well, I'll cut you off with this last question then. So we'll end it right here. And it's pretty plain and simple. You know, first thing that comes to mind. You know, your favorite fishing memory.
Ooh.
Fishing memory would have to be a good one. I mean, I have a lot of them.
First thing that comes to mind.
Me and my dad, we don't get to fish much. I mean, he's a Tennessee Highway Patrol, so he doesn't get to go a lot with me. And me and my dad went out to Pickwick one evening after school, I think, and we really caught him that day. I think we had a 6, and we had, I mean, we really caught him, and he actually caught the 2 biggest ones. So I mean, I enjoy taking someone and them catching the big fish, or them catching the fish rather than me catching the fish, because I get to do it all the time. I don't go as much, so I mean that would have to be my favorite memory.
I like that. I like that. Jackson.
Mine would probably be whenever we had 26 pounds at the Coke Classic. I mean, we had those fish in 20 minutes. We called twice right after that, and I mean it's, you know, it was pretty steady all day. We caught a lot of fish, caught a lot of good fish. It was an experience for sure, and I really liked that paycheck at the end of the day too. You know, that was pretty.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
That was pretty healthy.
I like it. Cool. Well, before we wrap things up, is there any shout outs or anything you guys want to give or anything you guys want to say before I cut you loose?
I'd like to give a shout out to y'all at Douglas Rods. You know, I fished 4 days consistently with y'all's new rod that I bought down at the Classic. I've yet to lose a fish on it. I can feel that. Matter of fact, that big one that I caught today, I caught it flipping some grass with the Douglas. You know, the first day I had it, I caught a 5. So I'm really impressed with the sensitivity and the lightweight it is, how lightweight it is. You know, I'd like to give a shout out to Billy Phillips Lures. They do a lot for our school, allow us to go travel places. You know, they give us a pretty good a pretty good check at the beginning of the year to pay for everybody's boat gas. They're doing a scholarship this year for the team, so I'd like to give a shout out to them, tell them thank you. And then most importantly, the good Lord up above. You know, he does a lot. Whether we see it every day or not, he does a lot of things that puts things into perspective for us. You know,
Nice.
I really just like to give praise and thanks to him for allowing us to be out on the water every day that we are. He really takes care of us while we're out there. So.
Love it. Well, I'll tell you, when it comes to the rod, our rod designer, Mr. Fred Quintao, he called me on my 17-hour plus drive home from Alabama, which should have been 12. And he was very impressed. He goes, "You see this kid's already posting pictures with this rod?" And I'm like, "What?" He sent me to the picture, and you obviously sent it to me.
Yeah.
I was like, didn't we just give it to him 10 hours ago? Like, the kid's already cracking fish on it. He loved it. He was very impressed, which is hard to do. So it's kudos. But Face, any shout outs?
Man, I mean, of course, I mean, Douglas, and thank you, Bailey, for having us on the podcast tonight. I mean, it was a real pleasure being on it. And I mean, all of our local sponsors, and I mean, our high school for sure. Our high school makes it all possible for us to be able to take off and fish the tournaments that we need to. And I mean, it's been a real pleasure being on here, man. I really appreciate it.
It won't be the last time you guys. I plan on doing some college fishing panels. So what we can do is have some of my friends who are already in college or post-college fishing and get you guys on here with them so you can talk about and just ask them questions too about things that can make you guys a little bit better, more prepared going into college fishing. So that'd be pretty cool to to do
Sure.
that set up, and we can play around with so many different ideas. And whenever you guys want to come on, you guys are always welcome. If there's somebody coming on that you guys want to be a part of, we can sneak you in there. We can get your face on here too. And you guys are always welcome. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys are busy high school kids, but enjoy it before you're in college and you got your student.
I appreciate it, man. It's been an honor.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you
boys.
for letting us come on.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. But again, appreciate you guys taking the time, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, thank you,
Yes, sir.
man.
All right, boys. Have a good night.
You too.
So it was a great conversation we just had with Chase and Jackson. Pretty sharp kids, like I explained to you guys. Obviously you can see the raw passion that they have for the sport. You see the talents that they have, their knowledge. It's pretty incredible, and they're gonna go places. It's really interesting to see the passion they have, while knowing and keeping that humble aspect of the sport. They know they're good, but they won't show it. They won't. They don't have that mentality, that ego. They're confident, but I think the best part about them is they have that good head on their shoulders, and that's really going to take them places. I'm pretty proud to call these guys friends now. I'm going to keep up with them. It's going to be pretty excited to see where they go when they move on to Bethel University, one of the most prestigious college bass fishing teams in the country. I'm excited to see where they're going to go, and I'm looking forward to having them on again. Follow their links down below to follow along with their adventures as well. And if you aren't already, subscribe to the Egbert Outdoors YouTube channel so you do not miss any fishing videos, any podcasts. If you don't want to listen to my podcast on YouTube, you can go to Apple Podcasts, the Angler app, Spotify, the Anchor app, where everything is all done. So many different applications you can listen to this podcast from. Again, thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we will see you next time.